my pronunciation, I'm going to say Henry Cartier-Bresson because I am Australian and that's my accent, and I'm sorry. I know it's not the perfect pronunciation of his name, but he's really the father of modern photojournalism. So when we think about photojournalist photography, like newspaper photography or documentary photography that is shown on the news, for example, that's what we're talking about when we say photojournalism. So photojournalism is people that are catching photography for the purpose of journalism, right? So things like protests or I don't know, car accidents or other types of things that are happening in that moment that will never be repeated. We call this also like ephemeral photography. Ephemeral is just a fancy word for something that only exists in a particular period of time and then won't exist outside that time frame. So ephemeral photography could also include things like music concerts or festivals or performances, dance, etc., because they really only exist right then and there. So in this genre of photography, it's one of those pieces of photography that looks deceptively simple. So photojournalist photography and photography that captures that decisive moment often looks like a really easy image to capture, I think, is the way that it looks to me. But I know that this is not an easy image to capture, especially if it's not staged and especially if it's only happening, because it means that you have like a second, maybe two if you're lucky, in order to click the shutter button at the precise moment that you need to. For example, like in this photograph, before the man's foot hits the puddle of water, and then what happens? Once he hits the puddle of water, what happens? Once that foot goes into the water, what happens? Yeah, there's going to be a splash, and then there's going to be like an echo, I guess, a reverberation of that water and wave throughout the image. So we no longer get that beautiful clear reflection in the background that's giving us depth in our image. You know, these are the kinds of things that seem like, oh yeah, that's an easy genre, I'm going to pick that genre. This is a mistake that students do often. I'm going to pick this genre because it's really simple and it's really easy to do, and I think that I'll be able to get it done quickly. And then they start to go and take these photos and they realize that maybe they clicked the shutter button a second too late, or they missed the facial expression of the person they were trying to capture, or what they were seeing, they weren't capturing well on the camera because there was too much movement, right? These people are moving and being active, and you're having to change your camera settings on the fly. And you can't go back to them and say, oh, hang on, can we stop the protest? And can you step back 3 steps and then can you walk again and look angry because I missed it, right? It doesn't happen like that. So the decisive moment, this is what we're spending the workshop on today. So if you haven't done this e-content, have a quick read of this overview. I've just provided a really basic version, but you need to do your own kind of more in-depth reading on this because it's very important for the activity we're about to do. So in the workshop folder, you'll see I've made a decisive moment and contemporary photo media Padlet. And this Padlet has the names of some very prominent or important photographers, artists who deal with the decisive moment in very different ways. So I've been really deliberate in the artists that I've picked here because I think it's a really important genre for you to engage with, but I think it's also important that you can see the breadth and depth of the genre because it doesn't look the same for everybody. It looks very different, in fact, for different people. So what I want for you to do is individually research one of the following artists. I don't mind which one you wish to pick. You can pick any one you like. Select, and I haven't put them easiest to hardest. So Jeff Wall's probably quite complex, if I'm being honest. Select a body of work by the artist, read about it, describe their concept, and then include an image from their series. And then I want you to write about, and in your own words as best you can, write about how you think that they engage with the decisive moment in their work. That is today's workshop activity. Now, when we're finished this, then I want to come back together and have a look at what you've said about the different artists and their processes and their practice. And so we can link this back to our folio again. That's the aim for our workshop today. The tutorial today will go one step further, and I'll get you to be starting to really actively think about your folio, but we're going to do it in a way that gets you outside of your brain and actually gets you making some stuff. And we're going to attack that tutorial activity as more of a group project thing so that it kind of scaffolds. We're kind of like going to do a mini exhibition run through as groups so that you can try to do the process of your folio from start to finish super quickly in the constraints of a 2-hour period, but so that you kind of understand some of those choices that you need to make in order to be successful in that assignment. Okay, so the workshop is very theory heavy and the tutorial will be very practical, or the lab class will be very practical, as is pretty normal with this class. All right. Can I get a thumbs up in the chat if we understand what we have to do? A thumbs down if we don't understand what we have to do, and questions if you have them. Great. I'll also get you to add your name to the top of your Padlet post so that I can track the students that are engaged and those that are maybe sitting there thinking about their QCD 210 assignment or QCD 110 assignment, depending on which one you're doing. Academic Communication 1?
Yeah.
That's due today?
No, yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh, you've done it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So you won't be distracted by that one. What's the distracting assignment for today? Are there any assignments due today? Nothing? People online, anything due today? I'm not trying to mess with you. I'm just asking in general. No? Silence. This means they're all working, I think.
And maybe some people are using extension.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, get working, people. Ask me if you have questions.
Something happened that unlocked a powerful digital force in your industry, in your...
Hey, what's up? I'm KVD here. Okay, so for the past few years, Sony's flagship noise-canceling headphones have been the king of the hill. Of course, they've made some minor adjustments and feature additions over the past few. So by the time they got to the Mark III with their comfort and noise canceling and USB Type-C, they were the top of the
I might have a look at these at the beginning of the tutorial. So if you haven't finished yet, between now and the beginning of the tutorial, can you try to finish up what you have said? I would like to go over some of the artists and their approaches in the first 10 minutes of the class. And then the rest of the class will be dedicated to you actually doing and completing some work. I'm trying to make it more straight, but it's just going to be on an angle all the time, isn't it? It drives me absolutely crazy. I will check my OCD, though, my obsessive compulsive disorder, and I will leave the fact that that camera is not straight. Okay, it won't bother me. I won't let it bother me. She says out loud over and over again, so it stops bothering me. So what we're going to do in the tutorial is we're going to do a practical exercise that I hope will help you with your thinking about your folio. So the first 10 minutes, we'll look at these artists and what they do and how they approach the genre of the decisive moment. And then I'm going to get us to do an activity. All right. That's all we have time for in the workshop today. I will see you in about half an hour's time for the tutorial where we'll finish up this activity and we'll get going on the practical component of the lab class. Thanks, everybody. Get this done if you haven't already. Bye. Thank you. Bye. See ya.